Today is the 10th July 2026. I'm doing another practice of focusing on eye contact and showing and using my hands a little bit more. Today I don't have a topic prepared. I wasn't able to really figure out a topic to talk in this video, so I think I'll just make a video again about brainstorming a few ideas, what I could talk in the next videos, so that I don't be in the same situation just trying to do one of these practices and not having a topic at hand. And as it doesn't matter really much, especially with the practice of keeping eye contact and trying to be a little bit more gesturing with my hands and using them and showing them a little bit more, I'm just not that sure. I just think that the topic is not really important. And so I will just use this opportunity for a lot of brainstorming. I have my paper in front of me that you can see. I have my pen. I will just ramble a little bit about what I could talk about, what I might want to talk about. Especially in the next few practices, I want to keep it more so in the talking style, so I can practice the eye contact and the hand usage a little bit more. That kind of excludes a little bit of practice or of experimentation when it comes to game dev, which I'm focusing a little bit more in my life currently, which I could use for these practices. But again, as I focus on eye contact and more so my non-verbal communication, words are difficult. I don't think doing anything with like screen sharing would be a good thing. So no game dev currently. I could talk about game dev related topics. That's the thing that I could do, and I could talk about what I'm doing with game dev. So that's an area that I could explore and maybe think and try out a little bit with this practice. That's very much a topic. So I could talk just like do more of a log for game dev, just talk about it. I will write it down. Log game dev talk, which not the best phrasing, but doesn't matter, just a little bit of brainstorming. I could talk a little bit about techniques that I might use, like programming techniques or stuff that I work on. That's a thing that I could talk about. So I will write that down. Currently, we're just collecting, I guess, bigger topics, not specific ones. Which wasn't actually the purpose of this video, because I wanted to have kind of a collection of just things that I can just pick and say, hey, I want to do this one, why not? And then just make a video about it. Other about game dev, let's switch a little bit more on the side of the experience, emotional kind of topics, perspective topics that I would potentially like to do. What topics could I do there that I could make? I am thinking about, this is actually a good practice of looking at the camera and thinking about things and coming up with, not just coming up with things to think about and brainstorming while keeping eye contact. So it actually fits the practice quite well. Back to the brainstorm. What topics could I talk about? We were thinking about emotional topics. And or not necessarily emotional, but perspectives. Currently, I'm a lot more, my mindset when it comes to that is a lot more about perspective, about subjectivity and things like that. And lately, I think, I don't know, in a little bit before, I thought about doing just some definition videos, but just talk about words that I might have a strange feeling about, or where not necessarily strange, but where I just feel like that's an interesting word. What's the definition of what does this word mean? Has it a lot of meaning, stuff like that? I really like the topic of definitions, something that I really enjoy talking and thinking about. What is the definition of something? Not so much on the word sense, but what does this word mean in the real world? And I might want to do a few more of these kind of videos or for these practices, because it could just be very fun to do. Just talk about the definitions of some words. Are there some words that I can now think of that would just be quite interesting to do? what areas could I think about? I could do some more social things. The question is, do I want to have more small things? Like, should I talk about the definitions of singular emotions? Like, let me just write it down. I would just make a category of definitions. I could talk about the definition of more on the small scale, so more on emotion, like what is fear, what is anger, what is shame, what is stress, things. Like, I will just write down a few emotions. Like, we could talk about joy, we could talk about we talked already about gratefulness and hope. I already made videos a little bit about that, so I'm not sure if that would be the fitting kind, but definitely about joy, maybe about anger. Fear could also be a good one. Joy, anger, fear, shame could be one. Joy, anger, fear, shame, pain. Just pain could be interesting. Pain. We could do one about love. Love could be a topic that I could make. Let's leave it at this for now. Maybe frustration. I don't know if I have made one, but what was coming to my mind right now is the definition was of future. What is future? So future, we could also go with it with like past, and let's just put present in there now or slash now. What does now mean? We could do a video about for the definitions. We have the time. We could, with that, of course, also when we put time in there, right? Just what is time in my feeling, in my experience from the word definition. What else could I look at? I like I, or just me. What is I? What is this as a word? Could also be very fun to look at this. Other than that, we have the times, we have me, we have fears. Other word definitions that I feel like could be really interesting to look at. We're now more on the small scale. As I said, we could look at bigger word definitions or more abstract ones, or more social things I thought of before. I don't have anything in mind right now. I really don't know. Let's try to think a little bit about something else. Let's go away from definitions. Let's think about what else of topics or of brackets of topics I could think about. We were with game dev. What could I do with like game development that I'm currently doing when it just comes to talking about something? I could just talk about the difference of programming and coding, how I like to view about it. That's also more so a definition. More so on the definition side. I could talk when it comes to topic not so much about definitions, but more so about maybe programming, things that programming teach me more so in the bigger life. How I take a context that I'm used to from programming, what I learn from that in the bigger scheme of things. That could be an interesting topic. So I could talk, and to make it a little bit more maybe precise, so like programming concepts in life. What are one of these, for example? We could talk just about communication. What has IT taught me about communication? we could talk about comparisons, or where it comes from programming, that would be polymorphism. The timer's out. Polymorphism, comparison. These are like two things that are in the concept very different, or not different, similar, from the programming world to the general life context. That would be fun to make a video about. I think that's it. That's good enough for now. I might want to do one of these videos in the future again to brainstorm when I'm done with the ones that I want to do from this list. I might come back to such a brainstorming video. And yeah, that is it for now. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.